Greatness in cinema is often measured by box office returns, but in the automotive world, the cost of ambition is calculated in twisted metal and shattered glass. Over the course of the first 10 films, the Fast and Furious franchise did not just race cars, it waged a war against them. We are talking about over 2,187 vehicles destroyed, culminating in an estimated damage bill of $514 million. For the automotive enthusiast, watching a rare classic meet its end is viscerally thrilling, yet painful. But behind the explosions and the CGI enhancements lies a surprising reality. The production teams destroyed far more real, valuable steel than you might expect. Today, on Rare Wheel Stories, we are auditing the carnage. We are looking at the million-dollar mistakes, the rare muscle cars sacrificed for a 2-second shot, and the production secrets that justify this industrial-scale destruction. Every legendary car has a rival that pushed it to exist, but in this franchise, the rival was often the script itself. While modern Hollywood relies heavily on digital rendering to save costs and preserve inventory, this production took a philosophical stance that prioritized practical effects over pixel perfection. The result was a graveyard of machinery that includes everything from humble commuter cars to multi-million-dollar hypercars. To understand the true cost, we must look past the sticker price. We have to analyze the difference between the hero cars, the pristine examples kept for close-ups, and the fleets of stunt mules built specifically to die. When you see a 1970 Charger barrel rolling through the desert, you are not seeing a single car. You are seeing the final moments of a specific build designed for that exact death. From the V8 powered icons that define Dominic Toretto's identity to the rarest hypercar ever featured on film, we are going to break down exactly what was lost, what it was worth, and why the studio believed the sacrifice was necessary. The Charger sacrifice. The roots of this destruction go back to the franchise's most enduring symbol, the 1970 Dodge Charger. This is not just a car, it is a character. And because it is the primary protagonist of the fleet, it has suffered the most fatalities. By the time Fast 5 arrived, the production team faced a challenge. They needed to destroy Chargers with a level of violence that CGI simply could not replicate convincingly. In the current enthusiast market, a genuine 1970 Charger is a coveted piece of American history. Depending on the condition and provenance, these machines consistently command between $80,000 and $150,000. To maintain continuity without bankrupting the production, the team built at least 6 specific stunt versions for the 4th and 5th installments alone. They were essentially creating 6-figure assets simply to write them off as total losses days later. Here is a detail that purists often miss. Most of these stunt cars were not powered by the legendary Mopar 440 or the Hemi. To save money and ensure reliability, many were fitted with small block Chevrolet V8 crate engines. It was a pragmatic decision, sacrificing brand loyalty for mechanical reliability. One stunt car was rigged specifically to be crushed by a bus, another was prepped for the tunnel explosion. What makes this compelling is the afterlife of these machines. One of the wrecked Chargers from the production surfaced for sale, fetching nearly $85,000, despite being effectively a rolling sculpture of twisted steel. It proved that the provenance of the franchise could inflate the value of a car, even after they had effectively destroyed it. But for the purist, watching these body Mopars, even the base models cut up for stunts being fed to the crusher, represents a permanent loss to the classic car population. The $3.4 million hypercar. If the Charger represents the blue-collar muscle of the franchise, our next subject represents the absolute pinnacle of exclusivity. Furious 7 introduced the world to the W Motors Lykan Hypersport. At the time, it was the 3rd most expensive car in existence, with a price tag of $3.4 million and a production run limited to just 7 units worldwide. The script called for this rolling piece of art to jump between the Etihad Towers in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, destroying a $3.4 million customer car is not an option, even for a studio with a blockbuster budget. However, they did not resort entirely to computers. This philosophical contrast is what makes the stunt so compelling, using real physics to simulate an impossible event. This is where the genius of the picture car coordinator shines. W Motors provided the production with the actual molds and blueprints for the Lykan. The special effects team then fabricated 6 exact replicas using fiberglass and aluminum over Porsche Boxster chassis. These were not cheap toys. They were highly engineered stunt vehicles designed to look indistinguishable from the real thing until the moment of impact. They destroyed all 6 of them. While they did not crush a real $3.4 million chassis, the cost of fabricating 6 high-fidelity replicas is immense, likely totaling over $2 million in fabrication costs alone. One surviving stunt shell, battered, bruised, and missing its drivetrain, was later sold at auction. It was not just a victory for practical effects, it was a statement that even the most unattainable vehicles were not safe from the script's demands. The tank and the Daytona. The turning point for mass destruction came in Fast and Furious 6. This film holds the record for the highest vehicle death toll in the series, with over 350 cars destroyed. The centerpiece of this carnage was the highway tank chase. Here, we see the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. In the real world, a genuine Daytona is automotive royalty, easily fetching high 6 figures, sometimes crossing the $1 million mark depending on provenance. The film depicts Dom piloting this aerodynamic legend into a guardrail to catch a falling character. To achieve this, the team did not sacrifice a $1 million original. Instead, they modified standard Chargers with fiberglass nose cones and the iconic rear wing. However, the destruction around it was very real. The production bought functional used cars, E46 BMWs, Mustangs, and everyday traffic cars specifically to be flattened by a real Chieftain tank. This was not CGI. The tank driver was genuinely crushing vehicles at speed. The crunch of metal you hear is authentic. It reinforces the idea that to sell the danger of the scene, the physics must be real. They turned a stretch of highway in Tenerife into a scrapyard, sacrificing hundreds of serviceable vehicles to create a sequence that felt viscerally heavy. This scene alone added millions to the twisted metal portion of the budget. Raining cars in New York. By the time we reached The Fate of the Furious, the destruction had moved from highway warfare to urban chaos. The zombie car sequence in New York City required cars to rain from the sky. Again, the production team chose gravity over graphics. They physically dropped dozens of vehicles from a parking structure. We are talking about real Volkswagen Golfs, Ford Mustangs, and Chrysler 300s plummeting to the pavement. These were not empty shells. They were complete cars with engines and suspensions, which is why the impacts look so violent. The suspension, compression, and the shattering glass behave exactly as physics dictates because it is real. This sequence alone contributed significantly to the film's destruction bill. It was an audaciously theatrical display of waste, but it achieved a texture and weight that computer animation still struggles to mimic perfectly. When you tally the receipts estimated $514 million in damage, over 2,000 vehicles wrecked, it seems like madness. But in the context of cinema history, these were not senseless losses. They were investments in authenticity. This destruction proves that sometimes the greatest legends are born not from preservation, but from the willingness to sacrifice everything for the perfect shot. If you enjoyed exploring these untold stories of automotive destruction, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the automotive world. Until next time, remember that without the risk of ruin, the race means nothing.